It is so cool to see the chassis being cleaned up and brought back to the original life, and better yet, Corey's been spending part of the morning welding some of the welds that needed to be finished to begin with. Abel and the guys did a knockout job in 2 weeks of getting this built, but they've made some concessions, leaving a lot of the welds unfinished because we didn't have any time to finish them. And these guys are dotting I's and crossing the T's. This is more or less the last moment in my life where I'll ever get to do this in this car, where it's completely empty. These guys are hauling ass, and I'm trying to capture every step of the way because you're gonna wanna see this build series when the thing's running and moving, and you're gonna find it hard to believe that it ever looked like this. Or especially when I wreck it, it's gonna be hard to believe that all these tubes are this straight at some point. Here's some of the fallout from it being Michigan. They've completely gutted the back of it. The next couple steps is waiting for the tube. We're gonna be running both the bottom, lower control arm lines, upper control arm lines. They trimmed the X part of the roll cage because it was previously set up for the shock towers for an FD. Well, I don't even know if this counts as an FD anymore. This is really a completely custom vehicle. I have no idea how it's gonna handle, but I know it's gonna handle really well. It's a very well balanced, sorted out suspension. It's proven. But it's not an FD whatsoever. Alright, so the tubing is in. Oh. These tubes right here are gonna somehow turn into the chassis of an all-wheel drive RX-7. Look at that. That takes artistry to turn this into whatever you're about to see. The downside of working on a chassis with over 120,000 miles on it. I should have mentioned that. Today's definitely action-packed. The guys are not only cleaning up the welds in the front, they're also grinding down and making the center block for the rest of the rear chassis and the front chassis to connect together in a real stable, solid spot. So everything else kind of emanates, starts from there and spreads outward. Real strong, solid design there. And everything's looking pretty good. They're working on the rest of the plates, and man, is that spot gonna be beefy. Corey and I went over all of the suspension geometry, the change in the upper control arms for the rear. They're a little bit shorter, so that way the car cambers more when it's put more pressure in the back of the car. It's better for handling. Amazingly enough, when they put the car up on the table, it happened to be exactly at ride height. Not only did I have it set to ride height, but then they also shimmied it and got it exactly within whatever 50 thousandths of an inch off. I made such a bonehead move on those. It's not even funny. Do you notice anything wrong with those two? No? They're identical. They need to be mirrored. While ordering the rear wheel hubs, which are about $300 a piece, oh dear God, they're expensive. They're 33 spline and meant to connect to a 934 CV joint. Looks like a big hockey puck. I do have a bit of an issue developing right at this moment. This is a Corvette ZR1 rear wheel hub. That is not going anywhere except for forward. There's no breakage going to happen with this hub. And if it does, you and I are both going to laugh and watch how much horsepower and torque goes through this. The problem is that there's a thing called a stub, like an axle stub. And so it's the piece that goes through here, obviously with splines, and then that massive axle nut that you normally have an impossible time getting off, and you see all the memes about people trying to break those nuts loose. That's that piece here. But then that is going to go to a CV joint, little disc, like a hockey puck looking thing right here. The problem is these bolts are either A, too high, or B, this is way too close to the axle, to the center of this rotating mass, that we're going to have to reformulate exactly how this is done. So I'm going to go over to a place called Mackenzie's and see if we can try out various different axle stubs to see if we can get the depth we need without having to modify this. And we need to see if we can get the 934 CV joint, which is the biggest, beefiest joint they make. No project like this is going to be without these sort of challenges. Is this an entrance for them?
Your destination is on the right.
It is a destination. Hopefully these guys can help me. Lord knows I need help. Well, this is very quickly showing to be the right place to go. These guys are already educating me on some things that terminology I didn't even know existed. These guys just made my life so much easier. Thank God that I was suggested to go over here. Nick was a little apprehensive at first to understand my project, and he saw that I am in fact foolish for what I'm doing, but after he got a grip of the fact that I was dead serious and not just a tire kicker, he brought some good solutions to the table. He even let me borrow one of the axle wheel stubs, the smaller ones, which we'll take a look at in a second, to help understand how much I'm gonna have to machine with my drivetrain. God, these things are heavier than I expected.
These are all welded. These are all welded 100% now. I got a couple to do, but you see there, these are welded 100% inside and out.
That looks great.
So nothing's forgotten. And I'll just kind of work my way back on the main structure, except for those tubes we're going to cut out.
That has been one successful day. Between getting all the welds finished up on the front, they're working their way back. They're making those massive junction boxes where everything all holds the car together. They're getting all the tube, everything's all ready. Tomorrow is tube bending, tomorrow is rear chassis, tomorrow is another day.